for success at CA exams organized by BOS for final paper 5 indirect tax laws. I am CA Shafali Jain.
I am CA Swati Agarwal.
And we both are your mentors for today's session. Today's session, as name suggests, success at CA exams. So the main objective of this session is to ensure that your chances of in achieving success in the examination increase. That means the main objective of this session is to augment your preparation and enhance your chances of achieving success in the examination. How will this happen? We'll be giving you certain tips. We'll be telling you certain do's and don'ts for your examination and also during your preparation time, how you can best utilize your remaining time period, because from today onwards, you still have 35 to 40 days for your examination. If you're appearing for both the groups, then you have at least 35 days for the examination, 35 to 36 days to be very precise. And if you are appearing for second group, then you have almost 40 days for the preparation. So what you have to do is we'll be helping you in understanding that how you can best manage this time which is available with you till the examination, how you can ensure that you enhance the chances of your success by doing the right things at this point of time. So we will be telling you what are the right things which you have to do, what are the don'ts which you have to keep in mind at this point of time, so that overall your performance improves in the examination. And in fact, there will be 2 sessions of BOS for the success at CA exams, which will be held. This is the first session where we'll be telling you we'll be giving you general guidance, how to approach your examination, how you can memorize the concepts during the study period. And in the next session, we'll take you through the revision tips as well as the mock test papers, which you might have appeared during the intervening period. So in today's session, their focus will be on 3 things. First, as I told you, how you can best utilize your remaining time till the examination. Second will be how you can memorize the concepts for the examination, because something which you have learned, you have understood, it can fetch you results only when you are able to reproduce it in the examination. So when you memorize it, when you are able to retain it till the examination day or examination hall, then only it will be helpful for you. So how you can memorize the things, because you have to understand and you have to memorize also. Memorization is also equally important for appearing in the examination. And last but not the least is to understand the commonly committed errors in the examination, because it's always said that learn from others' mistakes. So whatever mistakes the students generally commit in the examination, we have gathered all of them at one place and we have brought them for you so that you also understand those points and don't commit those mistakes in the examination. So be very careful and be there in the session till the end so that you can understand all these points and improve your score in the examination. So first is how to best utilize the time till the examination. So for that, the first mantra or the first technique is stay motivated, because this is the time when you must be preparing for past 3-4 months. But as the exams are nearing, sometimes it so happens that we start losing our hope or we start losing the momentum, because sometimes we get tired of studying so much and we feel that now we don't have that energy which was there when we started the preparation, or we have that anxiety, that fear when the exam is appearing. So how to overcome that, or how to stay positive till the time, till the examination day? So for that, what you should do is, you should first of all you should stay motivated. And how to do that? What you can do is, in your study, at your study place, you can have some sticky notes of the motivational quotes of influential people. For example, we have some positive notes here. One of which is given by Pele, the famous football player, who says that success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do. So actually, if you see it in other way, it is depicting the entire chartered accountancy course, what chartered accountancy course actually requires, or what success in chartered accountancy course requires. The hard work, perseverance, because we know that this is the course which requires the most perseverance in the entire all the commerce courses, because here you have to keep perseverance, you have to be resilient towards the towards the learning. Then studying, sacrifice. Now in fact, for past few days we are getting some queries from the students that we have examination immediately after the Diwali. So how to cope up with that, because that is creating some kind of anxiety and we want to enjoy our festival also. We have to appear for the examination. It's become very, very difficult. It's becoming that we have to appear for the exam immediately after the festival. So next day, Diwali, we have the exam. So in fact, institute has now taken care of that. So the exam has been postponed by 2 days. That also helps you. But on the other hand, the sacrifice which you are making at this point of time while studying will definitely pay you off in your life. So when you become a chartered accountant, all these sacrifices will actually pay off, and you will, you will feel very pleased and you will be happy to cherish all those sacrifices which you have made during this period of time. So that is why these sacrifices are equally important for attaining success. And last is the love of what you are doing or learning to do. So this is the most important thing, that whatever you are doing, if you are studying and you are sacrificing your festival, sacrificing your the things which you really like to do otherwise. So you should enjoy that also. Whatever you are doing, do it with full pleasure, do it with happiness, that yes, whatever I'm doing it with a purpose. And if I achieve that purpose, that will be what I am actually yearning for. So this is how you have to proceed. So this type of quotes should be there in your room. You have to stay positive, you have to stay motivated throughout this period. This is what is actually required. In fact, our past president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, has given a very beautiful quote regarding this, that if you fail, never give up, because this is what is required. Failure, or FAIL, fail means it stands for first attempt in learning. So failure does not mean that you cannot achieve your target. Fail actually means you have started learning, or you have made the first attempt in learning. This time you could not succeed, but success is on your way. You will definitely achieve success if you keep making efforts in this.
One point I would like to add here is that, yes, as ma'am told you, failure does not mean the end of your career path. It just means that, let's say if you get failed in a particular examination attempt, that simply means that for that particular attempt you was unsuccessful. And this is the reason why even the ICAI has taken, one step that in the mark sheet now, pass or fail is not given. It is success or unsuccessful, basically.
Yeah.
So this is the reason, so that you keep this thing in mind, that failure does not mean the end of the career. One thing to note, that please never quit. Whatever may be the situation in life, keep moving, never quit in your life.
This is what is actually being tested here. That
Yes.
whatever comes, whether you are able to stay on your path and you are able to achieve what you want to actually achieve. So this is what is being tested. That is your perseverance, your hard work, your resilience. So that is what Swati said. Don't quit. So at many point of time in your CA career or CA path, you will be, you will be tempted to quit the course, and you will be having easy options, that where you can go for some job, or you can think of some other options which are easier for you. But the success or the respect, the dignity which you will get as a chartered accountant is unparalleled or unmatchable. So you should remember that. In fact, this is what you should visualize each day. When you get up in the morning and someday you are feeling low, you are not feeling that motivated, then you should think that you should visualize that what you are actually going to achieve once you become a chartered accountant. What type of respect you are going to get in the society. Your parents are going to feel proud of you. So that can keep you going. So this is what is all required. In fact, you should keep sticky notes in your study room, so that which you have your certain positive affirmations, like very short affirmations. I can do it. If you put that, you can say a wall on your wall, if you write it on an A4 size or A3 size paper, that I can do it, I can pass the exam, or I will pass the exam. These small affirmations, if you keep on repeating whenever you are free, or you're not doing anything, these positive affirmations which you should keep on repeating in your mind, because that will keep you motivated, that will keep you going, that yes, you can do it. And these things actually work. These are not just the sayings, but they actually work for the students. If you want to feel positive, you have to repeat that thing in your mind. You have to visualize it, that what you are going to achieve, what long-term objectives you are going to achieve. You're going to have the monetary benefits, whatever you have dreamt of till now to achieve. So one of your dreams is to become chartered accountant. And after becoming a chartered accountant, what change is going to be there in your life, that all will help you in going through this success path. So Anything you want to add, Swati, to this?
Yeah, I think ma'am has already covered all the points that yes, you need to you may put the motivational sticky notes on your study table, and so that whenever you feel low, you look at it and you just gear up yourself. Like you can put never quit, never
Yeah,
quit.
that is also very positive quote.
Yes, whatever may be the situations, whether it might happen, it might happen that during examination your health is not up to the mark or due to any personal exigency. But yes, you have to bear in mind that I'm not going to quit whatever may be the instance, right? And as ma'am told you that sacrifice, sometimes few sacrifices, small sacrifices, yield big results.
They make difference in your
Yes,
life.
they make a really big difference in your life. You just, you can keep a sticky note. I can tell you that what I used to put the sticky note in my during my examination tenure. It was always remembered that my parents are waiting for me to become a CA. It's not only my dream; it's their dream as well. And when you will become CA, it's not your dream will be fulfilled. Your parents, your siblings, their dream will also be fulfilled, and they will also be very delighted. They will feel more happy. They will be more
They
delighted.
will
They
be
will feel
happier
more
than
happy
us.
than
Yes,
you.
definitely.
Yes.
And this is what all of us want, that our parents should be
Yes.
proud of us. They should be happy. So whatever we can do, many of us would have this target only, that we want to make our parents happy and parents proud. That is why we want to have this, we have opted for this career.
Dignified profession.
So that is very true. Very
Yeah.
true. In fact, we can go for the strategy which needs to be followed in this 35 days, if you can take the
Yes.
students to that.
First of all, you need to create a study plan. See, planning is always said to be the first step. Whenever you, start making anything, whenever you start whenever you dream of anything, first of all, you need to plan it. How you are going to achieve it, right?
So in this 35 to 40 days period which you have till now, when we say create a study plan, we do not need to refer the plan which you might have made 4 months back, 5 months back. We are referring to today. So at present, whatever you have covered till now, many of you would be in revision stage. Some of you would be preparing or in the last minute preparation, completion of the preparation. Any stage you can be in. There would be some students who have started around half a month back or maybe 1 month back. So anywhere you are in your preparation stage, that is completely fine. But now you need not waste even a single minute. You should start preparing. You should start gathering. You should start planning what you need to do in the next 35 to 40 days. And for that, you need to make a study plan. Whatever time you have with you and whatever you want to cover. You are appearing for one group, two group, whatever you want to make a revision plan. You want to make a study plan. You have to cover some portions, or you are halfway in your preparation, then you have to cover the remaining portion. So for that, you need to prepare a study plan. Whatever time is left, whatever portion you need to cover, divide it and allocate your the topics to that to the available hours or available time with you. Then
See, there cannot be a standard plan for each and every student because it differs from where you stand. How much you have covered till now. Some student might have done 1 or 2 rounds of revision, or some student might have done only 1 round of study, or for few students it might happen that few topics are left out. But whatever is your stage, don't demotivate yourself. There is time for you. You can succeed in the examination, but whatever is your stage, like prepare a plan accordingly. Then how you can plan, I can tell you the key points which you need to keep in mind while preparing a study plan. That is, you have to prioritize the important topics. See, we will discuss with you that there is a section in skill-wise weightage for each and every subject, and the same has also been web hosted on the BOS Knowledge Portal, which basically signifies the percentage wise how much how much weightage is but assigned to few set of particular topics. The topics which carry the higher weightage, the topic which will be asked in the examination for large number, that you should spend substantial time in studying those topics, so that the chances of success in your examinations gets increased.
so everything you have to do, only thing is that the topics which carry a higher weightage needs to be more focused and you need to pay more attention towards those topics.
Right. And As we know that conceptual understanding is a foundation to attain, it is a base, it is a foundation to attain success. Because if you don't understand the topics, if you don't understand the basic concepts, then it's not that you can't cram, you can't just mug up the things to while a preparation for CA final examination specifically. There your conceptual understanding should be very strong. Then only you can apply the legal provisions which you have learned in solving a particular problem. Then memorize the concept and provision is important, because if you memorize the concept and provision, then only you can apply that concepts in a given scenario.
And we will also give you some memorization techniques today, so that will help you in retaining the concepts.
Right. Then what is important is that yes, you get the holiday of 1 day, but you get the holiday of only 1 day while appearing in the examination. And if you think of any, like if we are when we are talking about the paper 5 indirect tax laws, we have got the 4 study materials. So obviously in 1 day it is not easy to just go through the 4 modules basically of study material. So what you need to keep in mind is that you should compile summaries to enable revision day before examination. For this, it is easy for you because you need not write the summary of each and everything. We have compiled summary for you. We have prepared a saransh for you, which is a very ready reference for you for the day before the examination specifically, because that covers almost all the summary of all the significant provisions of GST law, as well as all the chapters of customs and foreign trade policy for module 4, module 1, module 2. Basically, all the chapters are covered there, and all the significant topics of module 3 enforcement provisions are also covered therein. So you can make full use of it. But along with saransh, when you were when you were in the stage of revising, you might have as ma'am told you, you might have marked some tricky issues, some gray areas that may differ from each person to person. So whatever were those difficult areas in any, that might be in the computational problems, like you have a difficulty in understanding the reverse charge in case of sponsorship surveys or in case of block credit, so that you would have marked, we assume. And all those students who have not marked yet, still you have time when you are revising. Just whenever you are revising, just always keep a pen or a highlighter in your hand, and whatever you find difficult, or you feel ki I might forget this thing, that you just highlight it, so that when on the day before the examination, you surely revise through those tricky issues along with going through the saransh.
This actually works for the computational problems particularly, that whenever you are solving the computational problems, the tricky issues, as Swati told you, you should mark with highlighter or pen. You should try to summarize the treatment thereof, that what is the treatment. So when during the day before examination, when you are revising everything, so you don't skip these things. You have to memorize the concepts, or you have to revise the concepts, plus you have to revise the tricky issues which are there in the computational problems, and that you can do through the technique which Swati just elaborated to you.
Then for the revision purpose, regular revisions, practice mock test papers are there, and the revision test papers are there. They are hosted on the website. You can solve the mock test paper is basically prepared in a in an exam like examination pattern basically. So you can make use of it so that you will have an idea whether you are able to complete the paper in time or not, your writing speed, and how fast you are able to understand the basically the compulsory questions. Generally students have a feedback that compulsory questions, in the case of compulsory question, reading times take place. So you can have a brief look over the mock test paper, and I will advise you to try to solve it in an exam like situation. Try to complete it in 3 hours, then you will have a fair idea of yourself whether you are able to complete it in time or not, and whether you are able to write the reasoning also along with the treatment of a particular item.
That will
That
be
is
telling you
important,
that how
yes.
you have to attempt the questions in the commonly committed errors. We'll be explaining you properly that how you have to actually go about writing the computational questions.
And
Yes.
along with these technical points, it is equally important to maintain a healthy
Healthy lifestyle,
lifestyle.
most important of
Yes.
all.
If you are healthy, then only you can, then only you can make use of all these stuffs which we have.
And you can give your 100% in the exam only when you are healthy throughout. So you can, during your preparation stage as well as during the examination, you have to stay absolutely healthy. So keep a full focus on your diet. You have to have a proper balanced diet, proper sleep. Though many times we get query from the students that, ma'am, at this point of time, we have to study so much. So how can we take a proper sleep? So that does not mean that you have to take an 8 hours proper sleep. If it depends on what level, what type of preparation you have and how much you are studying on a daily basis. But whatever you are, the sleep time you are having, that should be a very sound sleep, free of any distraction. So it's always advisable, as everybody must be advising you, that keep away or stay away from the distractions. Stay away from the social media, WhatsApp, mobile, as much as possible. Though they update you also regarding the latest happenings, we also resort to the internet and website for announcing anything, so that you should stay updated. But not throughout the day you should be attached or you should be connected with your mobile. You should have a specific time of your day. Maybe for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you will see your latest updates, whatever announcements. You can connect with your friends. And throughout the day, you should focus on your studies. That will help you in staying distracted. And whatever time you have with you, utilize it for your studies, so that you don't get distracted with any negative thing or any negative news, or what your friends are feeling. They might be demotivated, or anything they share with you, or they might be those who are not pursuing the same course, they might be enjoying somewhere else they are going. So that sometimes distracts you, that I should have, had I not been here, I would have been doing that. So stay away from all those distractions. This time is only for your studies. These 1 month or so, if you spend completely on your studies, definitely you will get success in your examination. So please stay motivated.
One point of advice for staying positive is, I would like to give you from the personal experience, is that stay away from comparisons, basically. It might happen
Very
that one of
important.
your friend would have completed 2 rounds of study, or if you have completed only one, or even if you have not completed 1 round of study, just don't compare yourself. If you have not completed, and on the side is a person who have completed 2 rounds of study, everybody has a different method of learning, different method of revising, and that they have got a different method of retaining as well. So don't compare yourself. It is also not, although we suggest that revision is important, 2 rounds are important, but please keep in mind, each and every individual is a unique person, is a different person. It is not important that someone who has gone through 2 rounds of revision has got better retention, or he will do, no doubt, he will fetch more marks because his 2 rounds are completed. One student might take 2 hours is understanding one single topic, and another student might have completed 4 topics in 2 hours. But please don't compare. It might happen that when during examination doesn't remember anything, he's not able to understand the provisions, he's not able to apply the provisions whatever he has learned. He just completing 1 round, one topic is completed.
It could be a
completed.
possibility. In fact,
Yeah.
this is the most useful piece of advice you have got till now, because staying away from comparisons is something you are seeking peace for yourself, and you are
Yes.
actually you will actually learn better, you will actually utilize your time better. Because once you compare, you keep sulking that I have not done this, maybe I'm not able to perform, or I will not be able to perform, or maybe it demotivates you. So stay away from distractions. So staying away
Yeah.
from distractions, most important is stay away from comparisons. That will help you during your preparation
Yes.
time. So this is the lifestyle habits which we have already discussed with you: sound sleep, balanced diet, and staying away from distractions helps you maintaining a balanced lifestyle and achieving success in the upcoming examination. So most important is believe in yourself that you will be able to do it, and we can assure you that you will be able to do it. Only thing is that you need to keep believing it each day. Don't spend even a minute on thinking that whether I will be able to do it or not. You have no choice. Whatever time you have to spend on studying and preparation. Don't think at this point of time. Thinking or this, you can do this after your examination. So till the examination, you should only believe that yes, you will be able to do it, and you have to spend your 100% of time for whatever way you can do for your studies.
See, hardly today is 25th of September, and by 25th of November, your exams will be over, right? So you have only 2 months with you. And after 2 months, you can dream that you will become CA, and these studies will be basically these examinations. Your CA examinations will be over, and this is the last exam of your life. If you are, as of now, you are thinking of becoming a chartered accountant only. Later on, you can pursue any other professional course. That is
That
up
can
to your
also be a
choice.
motivating
Yes.
factor, in fact.
Yes, but this is the last exam of your life, and you just have to devote 2 more months for preparation, and after that, all your dreams will come true. So just bear this in mind. It's a matter of 2 more months. Okay.
Keep visualizing this and you will
Keep
stay
visualizing.
motivated.
Yes.
So now Swati will take you through the division of syllabus. All of you must be knowing it. Just
Yes,
to have a quick
paper
glance.
number 5, indirect tax law, as we know, it is of 100 marks. And part 1, goods and services tax carry more weightage, carry higher weightage than the part 2, customs and foreign trade policy. GST carries the weightage of 80 marks, and customs and foreign trade policy carry weightage of 20 marks. Now let's understand the applicable position of law for November 24 examination. Finance Act 2023 plus notification and circulars, which we have compiled and given you as a statutory update. The same are hosted under the BOS Knowledge Portal as statutory updates. They contain the amendments till 30th April 2024. 6 months prior to the date of examination, all the amendments are applicable for you.
Yeah. In fact, here one important point I would like to add is that when you are answering the question in the examination, and suppose a provision has undergone changes too many times before 30th April, some amendment took place in November, then there was an amendment in March, and then finally some amendment took place in April. So we have a cutoff date of 30th April. So whatever is the period
Yes.
asked in the question, what you have to do is you have to answer the questions as per the position of law, which is applicable on 30th April 2024, as well as Finance Act 2023. CGST Amendment Act 2023 and IGST Amendment Act, that is also applicable, covered in statutory update. She will be taking you through all the publications which we have. But you have to remember while answering the question, in case the period of the question is where some amendment has taken place prior to 30th April, a different position of law was applicable at that point of time. You have to, because there is a standing instruction at the beginning of the question paper, that you have to answer it as per the position of law applicable on 30th April 2024. So answer it on the basis of that only. Some instruction which is given to you in the question paper, you have to follow it. Similarly, if you have any rate of tax which is given to you, and you know that actual rate of tax on this particular service is something different, but since the question paper specifies that, and we generally don't expect the students to know the rate of tax, some hypothetical rate has been taken for testing the students, then you have to answer it as per the information given in the question. So follow the standing instructions in the question paper.
Just quickly go through the BOS education inputs which we have, which are available with us. Study material, I hope that all of you would have gone through the study material. All those who have not, I just...
We'll take you through the study material, a quick glance at the study material.
Then we have the revision test paper, mock test paper, statutory updates, and MCQ practice portal as well. Key inputs which we have for you are I will say the study material is a foundation for the preparation for examination. It contains all the relevant statutory provisions along with the analysis of the same, along with the test your knowledge questions and the illustrations of the same. Revision test paper and mock test paper are basically for the revision purpose. And statutory updates, you have to read the study material along with the statutory updates. Statutory updates for November 2024 examination. Let us go through the same. That same is hosted under the BOS Knowledge Portal on the ICAI website. Indirect taxes law statutory updates for November 24 examination. Here, one thing to highlight, I would like to highlight is that as regards the goods, this is basically for this examination, that tax on as regards the goods on which tax is payable by recipient under reverse charge under section 9(3) of the CGST Act or section 5(3) of the IGST Act. Study material basically contains only an illustrative list of such goods. However, list of goods on which tax is payable under reverse charge is relevant for you. Please note that reverse charge provisions in case of supply of services have already been there since many attempts in your study material. The important change is that reverse charge in case of supply of goods is also relevant for November 2024 examination. And the set list has been included in detail in chapter 2 charge of GST in the statutory updates which I'm displaying for you. The statutory updates contains the reverse charge list in case of supply of goods, and the same is applicable for you for November 2024 examination. This is an important change which I wanted to highlight. Right?
That is why statutory update is so important, because
Yes.
sometimes you have this type of information also. In fact, till November 2023, the reverse charge provisions with respect to goods were not part of the syllabus. We had specifically excluded it by way of the study guidelines. But with effect from the examination from May 2024 onwards, this has been specifically included. If you go through the study guidelines of May 2024 examination also, though it is now it's a past thing, but in that study guidelines itself, we have not given any reference to reverse charge or pertaining to goods. That means that is part of your syllabus. For November also, same position is continuing, that reverse charge with respect to goods is now within the purview of syllabus, because earlier some students got confused that in the study material it is mentioned that it is not relevant for examination purpose, but study material got printed in the month of October, and subsequently it was decided that the reverse charge pertaining to goods will form part of your syllabus and it will be tested from May 2024 onwards. So we have included it in the statutory update and you have to refer the same. So please keep in mind that you do not miss this portion from the statutory update.
Right. Let's have a quick glance at the study material. We have the 4 modules for you. Module 1 to 3 cover the GST provisions, and module 4 basically focuses on the provisions of customs and foreign trade policy. Right? Module 1 covers all the substantive aspects of GST law, like supply, charge of GST, place of supply, exemptions, time and value. Only one substantive aspect, major substantive aspect, which is input tax credit, is covered in module 2. And please go. Let me just have a quick.
Let's go through one of the chapters so that you can understand the scheme which we have strategically devised for making you understand the concept of which are on the topics which are covered in the particular chapter. Right. This is the chapter 1, supply under GST. This is the backbone of the GST. We can say this is the main fundamental on which the entire GST law is based. Basically, this is the taxable event. It's a supply. Right, we have added a lot of visual images for you so that you can correlate, you can, your study becomes interesting and it breaks the monotony actually. Right. Because tax laws, otherwise they become very plain and generally you tend to lose interest in them. So we have tried to put these imageries at the relevant places, which helps you in retention also during the examination. And it creates an interest also in the topic, that when you are reading something, you're getting an image also, and when you recall that topic in your examination, you tend to recall that image also. So that helps you in retention. Right. Then we have added statutory provisions as well, because at final level, specifically, you should go through the statutory provisions so that you have an idea how to interpret a law. Right. And thereafter, the statutory provision is discussed. Analysis of the same is also given in the study material. And we have highlighted the key points in these boxes, basically, so that, you are able to retain them well, like without consideration, Schedule 1 deemed supply, and neither supply of goods nor supply of services are given in Schedule 3, right? And these diagrammatic presentations are also given so that you are able to understand. You basically, I think everything has been done. I don't feel that you will, need to prepare any summary in case of GST, specifically in all the substantive provisions on your own, because we have prepared summaries like you people, need to prepare on your own. These notes we ourselves have prepared while, drafting the study material and got printed in them, so that your time gets saved and you are able to make full use of it. Yeah, pictorial representations have been resorted to, and flow charts, diagrams. Illustrations are there, various small illustrations, examples are given. Yes. So that you can understand the topic. Please ensure to go through these examples properly, because they help in understanding the topic, and sometimes a small point can be tested in the examination also. Yeah. So don't miss any of the examples, illustrations, test your knowledge questions. See, another thing is, another key feature of the study material is, this type of bulb which you must be looking. Okay. So wherever this, these bulbs are given, basically shows the key point. These shows the things which you need to bear in mind, the crux of the discussion. Which requires your attention. Yes, special attention. It requires your special attention. So please don't ignore this and go through these and we have key points. So we have given the statutory provision and then analysis so that you get a habit of reading the statutory provisions. Yes, and in the end, I'll just show you that let us recapitulate section is given at the end of each chapter, wherein all the key points have been summarized for you, and then test your knowledge and followed by the answers thereof. Website, let me show you, because few students doesn't know where everything is hosted. So let's have a quick look of the same. You can directly open the website and show them.
Our website www.icai.org. Right, everything is there here. New scheme of education and training, and the same are also hosted under Students tab BOS.
In fact, you should be
Knowledge
very
Portal.
familiar with BOS Knowledge Portal. This is
Yes.
actually the repository of all the resources which institute or BOS has provided you for your examination, for your reference during your preparation time. You should regularly visit the BOS Knowledge Portal so that you are updated. Like here it is mentioned mock test series is going on, then success for CA exam information also you get here. When is the next series of the success for CA examination will be held? Next series of mock test paper is there. Every information is provided to you at the convenient place here.
Yeah, the important separate tabs are there for study material. Here it is amendment, development, statutory updates are given there in the suggested answers, study guidelines, revision test paper, section and skill-wise weightages. Just have a, we will discuss it. Section and skill-wise weightage, basically. It is the same is hosted under this tab, section and skill-wise weightage.
In fact, Swati told you that this is how you have to keep in mind while doing your preparation. At the time of revision also, you should refer it that the topics which carry a higher weightage, in fact, that is the substantive provisions, the section 1 of part 1 as well as part 2, both in GST as well as customs. Section 1 is the section which carries the highest weightage. Almost 50% of the paper is coming from this section. So she will take you through. Only thing is you have to remember, you have to keep in mind. Please keep yourself on mute. Please mute yourself. Anybody who is joining, please keep yourself on mute so that others are not disturbed. So we have to focus while preparing on the study on the weightage which each section carries. Accordingly, we have to pay attention to that particular section.
Right. Section 1, as ma'am told you, it carries the highest weightage and it covers all the substantive provisions in case of GST as well as in customs, right? And as I told you, as we discussed it, all the substantive provisions are covered in module 1 of the study material along with topic input tax credit, which is the first chapter in case of module 2 of the study material. Then coming to the section 2 basically covers procedural and few enforcement provisions as well, like registration, tax invoice, credit and debit notes, e-way bill, return filing, payment of tax, refunds, job work. These provisions are covered in section 2 and it carries the, obviously it does not carry the highest weightage, but yes, it does carry the high weightage from 10% to 30% of the marks. The lowest weightage we can say that section 3 carries, it carries the weightage of 0 to 5%, wherein it the topics assessment and audit, inspection, search, seizure and arrest, then
miscellaneous provisions are there.
But
it does not mean that you don't have to do this particular portion.
But
at least
yes,
5%
allocate
weightage
the
is there.
least time. I will suggest you while prepare during preparation as well as during revision time, allocate the least time while to the section 3. There's no doubt. Then coming to the section 4, section 4 also carries a weightage of 15 to 30%. Please note that in case of section 2 and 4, section 2 also carry the weightage of 10% to 30%. The highest weightage is the same, the 30 up to 30% of the marks. And section 4 is also 15 to 30%. But yes, the minimum weightage which will be asked from section 4 is higher than the section 2, right? So minimum for section 4, 15% will be covered, and from section 2, 10% of the paper will be covered. And section 4 covers the enforcement provisions, demand and recovery, offenses and penalties, advance ruling, appeals and revisions, and ethics under GST. Same principle applies in case of customs and FTPs. Section 1, substantive provisions carry the highest weightage. Section 2, procedural aspects carry slightly lower weightage than the section 1. And section 3 covers the basic aspects and it covers the minimum weightage.
Yeah, so foreign trade policy also has a significant weightage in your entire syllabus. You should pay due attention to that also. Next comes the study guidelines, the topics which are excluded from the syllabus, and I think they should be of most interest to you. So what you don't have to actually study, you should pay special attention to that, what you have to leave for the examination. So before that, we have to see the applicability for November. We have already discussed.
We have already discussed the related applicability of the provisions for November 24 examination. Everything which I'm showing you that everything has been hosted on the website only. as we have gone through the website under that BOS Knowledge Portal, as well as under New School of Education and Training, study guidelines are hosted. I am just discussing the key points to bear in mind. Rest you can go through on your own. In fact, I will advise you to go through the whatever I'm showing you, like section and skill wise weightage and the study guideline. Just go through, just yourself go through thoroughly to each of these, features which are there in the which are hosted on the website. I will just touch upon the key points, significant points. As also ma'am discussed, while starting this session, that rate of tax prescribed for supply of goods as well as in case of supply of services, that has been excluded from the syllabus. So what does it mean? It might happen that during your articleship tenure, you are aware of the correct rate which is applicable in case of a particular item of the goods or in case of services, right? And if in the examination question that particular service is there for which you are aware of the correct rate of tax, but even if you are aware of the correct rate of tax, you have to apply the rate of tax which is given in the question. That may be any hypothetical rate. It might happen that that rate which is given in the question paper is not the correct rate applicable for that good, but that doesn't matter, because students are not expected to memorize to remember the rate of tax applicable prescribed for supply of goods as well as supply of services. Similarly, exemption for supply of goods is excluded, and rest provisions are some state specific. You can go through on your own.
Real estate provisions with regard to input tax credit, they have also been excluded considering their level of difficulty. So they are very sector specific provisions. So input tax credit provisions regarding to real estate are not there in your syllabus. Similarly, in respect to gold door bar. Other provisions, everything which is covered in the study material, the rules which to the extent they are covered in the study material, they are relevant for your examination. Notification circulars which are covered in the statutory update, they are relevant for your examination. So each and every concept discussed in study material as well as in the statutory update is relevant for the examination, though we have prepared it meticulously considering all the provisions which are excluded from the syllabus, and therefore you need to go through them carefully. Okay. Now, how to master any topic? That is very important. That is, we told in the beginning itself that you have to be very thorough with the conceptual understanding of the concept. So in case you find any topic very difficult, then how you can master that topic? And this is actually a very, conventional technique for mastering any topic. So first of all, what you should do is you should study that topic from the study material. And in fact, whatever study source you have with you, whatever material you are referring, you should study, you should read that topic from that book or material, and try to write the explanation of that topic in your own words on a piece of paper. Then when you are trying to explain, and you have to explain that topic in a way that as if you're explaining it to someone else. As a teacher, you're explaining it to someone else. So that gives you the kind of clarity which you cannot do while reading that particular topic. So if you try to explain anything to you can do it in your group studies also. You are finding difficulty in any topic, read that topic thoroughly and try to explain it to someone else. Even though you are not yourself very clear with that topic, but if you try to explain it to someone, your conceptual clarity will definitely enhance. So the similar way you have to write that topic on a piece of paper, try to give some examples, try to give as much explanation you can give for that particular topic. And then you once again go through that provision from the study material and try to see which are the areas where you were lacking in the first instance. What were the gaps? Try to see some more examples, illustrations from some other sources on that particular topic if you are still finding some difficulty in that topic. And this way, when you try to summarize that topic at the end, you will be having a different or a in-depth understanding of that particular topic. So any difficult topic, if you are feeling that you're not able to master that, read it from the study material and then try to explain it to someone as if who doesn't know the topic. So then you will gain the understanding or the mastery on that particular topic. This is a technique which you can use and you will definitely find it useful for mastering that particular topic. In fact, memory techniques, we'll take it afterwards. We will be definitely covering the memory techniques so that you can memorize the topics during the examination. Before that, we'll take some commonly committed errors in the examination, which students generally make the mistakes and which you should avoid, because we have made a summary of those mistakes, which generally we find in the students' copies. So we have taken few examples for that. like this is the first example. It is a question where value of supply has to be computed. So Vayu Limited provides you the following particulars relating to goods supplied by it to Agni Limited. We have list price with us. Now let us see. You have to see that the list price is exclusive of taxes and duties as well as discounts. This is an important point to be borne here. Okay. Then we have the special packing duty levied by local authority. And here we have the CGST and SGST charged separately in the invoice. It is also mentioned that it is separately charged. Then we have the subsidy. Now, the important piece of information which we have here is price of 81,000 given above is before considering the subsidy. That means, you know, what is the basic treatment or accounting treatment of subsidy? If we are getting any subsidy, that means we have to reduce the price by that amount, by the amount of subsidy, we reduce the price. It is specifically given in the question that the price given above, list price of the goods, that is 81,000. This is before considering the subsidy. That means subsidy has not been reduced from this particular price. Okay. We have to compute value of supply in this particular question. Now let us see what is the treatment which is, or what is the mistake which is done by the students. One more piece of information which is given here is that the Vayu Limited offers 3% discount on the list price of the goods, which is recorded in the invoice for the goods. Determine the value of taxable supplies. Now, if you see this question, what needs to be done is, list price is given to you. Special packing charges which are provided to you will be added in the value. While computing the value of supply or accessible value, we have to include the special packing charges. So we'll include it. Duty levied by the local authority. So any duty, any taxes which are otherwise than the GST tax, yani CGST, SGST, IGST or cess. Other than this, any other taxes there that we have to add while, or we have to include while computing the value of supply. So this is a duty levied by local authority. This also has to be added. Special packing charges have to be added. CGST and SGST charged separately in invoice. Now this is a tax which is not to be included in the list price. And you can see that the list price is exclusive of all the taxes. So these taxes are not included in the list price. And we do not have to add them back into the list price or for determining the value of supply under GST law. So what it means is that CGST and SGST charge does not require any treatment in this question. That means we do not have to add, we do not have to deduct, we do not have to treat it while computing the value of supply because it is already reduced. It is already reduced from the list price and we do not have to include it. So we will not do anything with this. Subsidy received from an NGO in relation to the goods sold. So this is a price-linked subsidy of rupees 5,000 because it is specifically mentioned for a particular goods it is given. In fact, here it is, I think it has been skipped. It is price-linked subsidy. So price-linked subsidy which is given by a non-governmental organization is includable in the value of supply as per section 15, subsection 2. So that means this subsidy should have been included in the value or in the price. And what is the position which is given here is this subsidy has not been reduced also. That is, we have mentioned that it is before considering subsidy. So subsidy amount, though it should have been excluded from list price, it is not excluded. And we also have got from section 15 that it should not be excluded. So no treatment is required here also. These two items do not require any treatment in the value of supply. Last is the Vayu Limited offers 3% discount on the list price of the goods. That means whatever is the list price, 81,000, 3% discount will be offered. And this discount will be deducted from the value of supply because the condition, yeah, very true. It is recorded in the invoice. So this condition has been satisfied. And since it is recorded in the invoice, it will be deducted from the value of supply. Now let us see how what mistake a student has done. Swati will explain it to you that what is the wrong treatment and how it has to be, it should have been done in the examination.
Raj has already given the answer.
That is
We are
very
happy
good. In
that
fact,
student has, started solving the questions.
You should do it side by side.
Yes,
but
you can
should
do side by side. But please just,
pay
listen
attention to
our
the mistakes
points.
also.
Yes.
That's very good that you are solving it side by side. That in fact creates an interest in the
Yeah.
session also.
Yes, but please note that you just don't have to tell the answer which we have, which we are showing to you, whether your answer is right or wrong. But what is our focus is that
Focus is on the mistake actually,
focus
or
is on
the
the
point.
mistakes as well as the presentation also. Because what happens is that, during examination also, you just don't get marks for the correct answer. You get marks for the correct reasoning as well. So reasoning also carry the equal weightage. So just pay attention to the manner of presentation which we are displaying to you as well. See, computation of value of taxable supplies, particulars, and then rupees. List price of the goods is given to you 81,000. Then, as ma'am told you, we have to add the special packing because that has been specifically, it is to be added in the price of the goods as per section 15 of the CGST Act 2017. So 5,000 which we have added. We have written the reference of the notes here. We have the note number, note 1, note 2, note 3. You can do this type of computational questions in two manner. Either you can give us the reference of note and you can give the reasoning
At the end.
at the end of the table, right? And another method is that you can give the reasoning here as well. In the second line, you can give the reason instead of mentioning the note number or instead of giving the reasoning at the end of the computational table, you can give the reasoning here as well, right? So duty levied by local authority, note 2, let's go through the note as well. Note 1 is being incidental expenses. Packing is an incidental expense charged by the supplier to the recipient. So it is includable in the value. You know what students generally commit mistake in such type of questions in case of value of supply is that what do they write is they write in the bracket includable or not includable. So includable or not includable is itself clear when you add it or you don't add it. We are seeking the reasoning from you why it is includable and the reason of not including or not treating the same. So what is the reason of adding the packing expenses? That it is an incidental expense which has been charged by supplier to recipient. You may not remember the exact subsection or the clause number, but you can write that it is an incidental expenses to be added since section 15 is a very important, very key
You may not
section.
remember section, that is not
Yes.
significant.
But yes, you may not remember the subsection 2 or the clause number. That is fair. That is not expected. But yes, quote the section number, subsection number, or the clause number only if you are 100% sure. Otherwise, your marks will be deducted for quoting the wrong section number, right? So, and duty levied by local authority on sale of goods, note 2 is given. And what is the reason? As we have discussed, that taxes and duties levied under any law for the timing in force other than CGST, SGST, IGST are includable. So taxes, all the taxes are to be included in the value of supply as per section 15(2)(a), clause number A, except
CGST.
except CGST, SGST, UTGST, and IGST. All the taxes are includable, right? Now we have what we have deducted the discount because the same is recorded in the invoice. Discount is known at the time of supply. It is deductible from value. Now you must be wondering why at the top of this sheet we have marked clause. You have calculated the correct answer. List price packing, yes, you have to add. Duty levied by local authority, you have to add. Then discount is to be deducted because the same is recorded in the value of supply. Then why this method of presentation has been marked wrong? See, please pay attention. This is the important point which we are going to discuss. That is wrong because you have not included the reasoning for treating or for non-treatment of two items in the previous slide which we have showed to you. CGST and SGST charges and subsidy levied from an NGO. See, CGST and SGST charge that there will be no treatment because the taxes and duties other than CGST and SGST are to be included in the value of supply, and subsidy received from an NGO. Basically, there is no treatment, but yes, you have to show it and you have to give the reason of the same.
In fact, discount also we have to compute on the list price. But this list price, since it is before considering the subsidy amount. So that subsidy amount of when we go back to the question, subsidy amount of 5,000 has to be reduced actually, because that is what the price that would have been charged. So discount can only be given on the price which has been charged from the buyer, and therefore this 3% discount has to be computed on 76,000. I think that would have been
the error which Mr. Raj has committed, I
yeah.
think. See,
Because
CGS
subsidy has not been considered in this question in the list price. So list price, what is given to you, that in case it had been given price only, then you should have taken the entire price. You should have computed all the exclusions, inclusions, and after that you should have computed the discount. But since it is mentioned the list price, and in the list price, the correct treatment should have been the subsidy should have been reduced. This is a kind of you can say different presentation, or whatever information is given to you, the list price subsidy is not deducted, though it should have been accounting point of view, it should have been deducted as we already discussed. Therefore, discount has to be computed on the list price only.
Nikita, still you have a confusion that discount is not correctly calculated. That's what ma'am is explaining to you. Discount has to be calculated on, you would have calculated that I think 3% of 81,000, but 3% of rupees 76,000 is to be calculated.
So the thing which you have to notice here is, another thing which here we want to explain is that if you are explaining the reasons in terms of section, so that you should not do. You should properly mention the correct reasoning, that yes, how it why this particular item has been included or excluded. Okay. Now we have certain commonly committed errors in the first question, that is the question carrying 14 marks, and the first question, that is the compulsory question. Generally, the students are not able to fetch complete marks in that question. Why? Because there are so many small errors which they commit during doing that particular question. And that is what we really want the students to know. There are certain points which, if you remember those points, there is a possibility that you will definitely score full marks in that question, given you know all the adjustments. But there are certain tricky points which generally are there in every question, and students tend to make mistakes in that. First question, what it generally asks you to compute? It asks you to compute the net GST payable in cash. Generally, it asks you. Or you need to compute GST liability in some or the other manner. You have to compute the output tax payable, you have to compute the
Input
ITC
tax.
admissible, and then finally you set off the two and you get the net GST payable in cash. So this is, for example, we have taken a question, an extract of information which is given to us for the month of February for a registered person, and that person is suppose J Limited. J Limited Gujarat imported goods and imported goods from China with CIF value of rupees 5 lakh in February. The goods were sold for rupees 5 lakh 10,000 as high C sales to an Indian party in February. Now, just to know the treatment of this particular item, if we'll see that what is the mistake which students generally commit, but what is the correct treatment of this particular information which is given.
Meanwhile, you can solve on your own, and we will be happy if you give your answer as per your understanding. What should be the answer? We are giving you 1 minute, and you may quote your answer in the chat box. I repeat, J Limited Gujarat imported goods from China with CIF value of rupees 5 lakh in Feb. The goods were sold for rupees 5 lakh 10,000 as high C sales to an Indian party in February,
Yeah.
the same month itself.
Shiva has correctly pointed out that it is not a supply.
Right.
Because it is covered in Schedule 3 of the CGST Act. Okay. Now, this is, yes, very well pointed out, Nikita, that this is a item, or this is it is an activity which is covered in Schedule 3 of the CGST Act. So
Renuka and Rupan, you also please participate. Your confidence will also get,
and whatever answers you give, that
Yes.
is not important whether you answer correctly or not. It is important that you participated,
Yes.
because something which sometimes when we answer wrongly, we tend to remember it for a longer time, that yes, this is the mistake which I committed, I need to remember it. So this is, I have to do it correctly. That is why we have kept this section of commonly committed errors, because when we see somebody else's error, we tend to recall it, particularly in examination, that yes, this is something I don't have to do in the exam. So J Limited imported goods from China with CIF value which is given to you, and these goods were sold in course of high C sales, or as high C sales we have sold them. Now, something which has not become part of the Indian landmass, that is not a supply. It is specifically covered in Schedule 3, that the high C sales or the goods which have not, which for which the which have been sold by way of transfer of documents before reaching the Indian landmass, they are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. Now, there are two type of entries or activities which are covered. One is the inward supply, that is imported goods. It imported goods as well as it sold those goods. Okay, so inward supplies are also there and outward supplies are also there. Now, let us see what treatment generally students give to this particular. They know the correct treatment. How do they present it? That's what we are telling. Since it is neither supply of goods nor supply of services, and ITC is also not available because we have not paid any tax at the time of importation. It did not reach the Indian landmass, so no customs duty or IGST would have been paid on those goods. So what we know the correct treatment, that yes, it is not to be taken in ITC as well as it will not be there. No output tax will be payable. What students do, like in case of the subsidy, like in case of the CGST and SGST tax, they do not show it explicitly while computing the ITC available as well as while computing the output tax payable. They think that this is not to be treated, so we should leave it and we should proceed with the question. But you know that the question carries marks for each and every step. When we say about the stepwise marking, we actually mean it, and it is actually followed in the examination. So therefore, this step has marks allocated to it, and how you need to show it. So this is a wrong treatment, that you did not do anything with this particular item and you thought that this is an activity or this is an inward or outward supply which is not to be treated in both the tables. So do not mention it. No. Correct treatment is that while computing the admissible ITC, you have to mention goods imported from China. And then there you mention why ITC is not being taken, because tax is not being paid on this particular transaction. You mentioned the correct reason, that in case of high sea sales, it is not me who is going to pay the IGST on this particular transaction because I have not taken it to the Indian landmass. Who has actually purchased from me? I have done the high sea sales to Mr. X, suppose. So Mr. X is going to get those goods cleared from the get those goods cleared from the custom station, and then Mr. X is going to pay the tax. So I have not paid any tax on the goods which I have imported from China, and therefore the IGST would also not have been paid, and resultantly there is no ITC available on this particular import. So IGST would have been paid by the last high seas sales buyer. So Mr. X in our case, who files the bill of entry for home consumption, he must have got the goods cleared and he would pay IGST. And unless I pay IGST, I cannot claim ITC. So therefore, no ITC is available. And this is how you have to show it in the ITC table. Second treatment will be there in the GST computation, output tax liability or net GST liability, where you are computing the high sea sales of the goods. Now, this is the outward supply we are dealing with. It is neither a supply of goods nor supply of services as per Schedule 3, and therefore the tax payable is nil.
One thing I would like to add, I think, is that you will get marks if you mention the reasoning of non-treating it. You can write it in your working notes as well. But I think we are recommending you to write this in table, then give the reason there so that you don't forget to mention the reasoning of a particular adjustment. If you mention something in a table for computation of GST liability or ITC admissibility, then what happens is that when you are in the flow of writing the reason of each and every item, you will mention the reason of a particular item for which even if there is no treatment, even if the amount to be given is nil. But yes, the important thing to note here is that because in any case the answer is nil, so obviously you don't have to calculate anything, but you will be awarded marks for the treatment, so that you have to write. I think if a student's mention in the working notes, even if he does not mention in table,
Yes, that is perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. There is not a problem. In fact,
but you have to give the reason for both. One, why the same is not a supply, and why the ITC you have not claimed. Obviously, if something is not a supply, you're not going to claim ITC, but you have to give the reasoning.
Proper reasoning
both
is required.
Yes.
And in fact, Nikita, you have mentioned the reason as I told you that it is there in Schedule 3. Though we have not expected the students to exactly quote the para where it is covered. But the reason is that since we have sold these goods by transfer of documents, after they left the port of origin and they have not been cleared, or they have not reached the port of clearance. Exactly, if I say this, it is the supply of goods by consignee to any other person by endorsement of documents of title to the goods. After the goods have been dispatched from the port of origin, located outside India, but before clearance for home consumption. So I got the goods from China. They left the Chinese port and they were somewhere in the territorial waters, and we sold those goods to Mr. X or Mr. Y during that time. That is the high sea sales. The goods were not yet cleared for home consumption, and by transfer of documents itself, I did not hand over the goods to Mr. X because they were not there with me. I only transferred the documents. I endorsed on the documents that yes, now these goods belong to Mr. X. By transferring the doc title through the documents, we have transferred these goods. And this is not a sale, or this is not a supply for J Limited in this case, because these are high sea sales. Goods have not actually reached the customs station, or they have not become part of the landmass of the country. They were not cleared for home consumption. So this is also an important point, just to clarify, because sometimes we get confused within two things. So it is not going outside India. If you see in this case, some Indian party is taking it. They have sold this to an Indian party. So goods are actually reaching India, but I am not the owner when they reach India. Some other party is there who is clearing the goods for home consumption. Okay. Yes, you want to add something?
No, that was the point. They are sold to an Indian party.
Yes.
So when you are saying the entry goods transfer from non-taxable territory to non-taxable, it is not non-taxable.
These are very deep points which you should know, and over a period of time you will get to know them. Right. Now, next entry, that is J Limited Gujarat paid inward transportation expense of 30,000 in February to Mr. Z, a tempo owner in Gujarat. Now, okay, I will not tell you the treatment. As Swati said, we should give some time to you and you should solve them. Who has not issued any consignment note? He has issued a consolidated bill in February. Tax rate is 5%. Okay. We'll give you just 25 to 30 seconds to think that what should be the treatment, because it's a very small activity and very small item which is given to you. J Limited Gujarat, it paid the inward transportation expense. So it is one of the entries in the that complete 14 marks question. And what would be how you are going to treat this particular thing, because we saw some mistakes committed by students. Yes, Raj has correctly pointed out, and I wish other students can also understand this. So let's come to the answer. I think most of you would have come to the right conclusion by this point of time. Computation of admissible ITC table will have this item because it is an inward transportation. It is an inward supply, or it is an expense which is incurred by the company, that is J Limited. It is an inward transportation, but let's see what treatment student has done. So this is what we are seeing, that how a student treated it. It took ITC on the GTA service, and why it allowed the ITC on it, because it is used in course or furtherance of business. So this is fine that this is used in course or furtherance of this business. This particular service or this particular expense has been committed for pursuing the business. But is it a GTA service? That we have to see. Tax rate is 5%. That is tax rate we have given, that applicable tax rate. Now, this tax rate actually was, since it was a part of a big question, this tax rate is provided at the end of the question, saying that all the goods and services are taxed at the rate of 5% or 9%, whatever rate is given. So that according to that, the rate was given. So it was not given explicitly after this particular activity. So Raj has correctly concluded it. Rupan, I think because 5% rate we have said, but rate, that was general rate which was given for the services. So since this particular Mr. Z, it has not issued any consignment note. Okay. And it is a tempo owner in Gujarat. So that means nowhere it is written, it is a GTA. It is registered as a goods transport agency. Goods transport agency has to mandatorily issue the consignment note. Now here it is not issuing a consignment note, it is specifically written. This thing you should know as a final student, you should be aware of this point, that since consignment note is not being issued, question does not specifically mentions that it is a GTA, and without consignment note, it cannot be considered to be a GTA. So this is not a GTA, and only the service of transportation of goods by road by a GTA is exempt. Sorry, is taxable. Otherwise, it is exempt. If the goods are being transported by road other than by a GTA or other than by a courier service, then it is exempt. So if it is a tempo owner, who is not issuing any consignment note, it is not a GTA, so that service become exempt. That means small, tempo owners, bullock carts, through bullock carts also sometimes you get your goods transported. So these are very unorganized and very small people, so they are not brought under purview of GST. You do not have to charge GST on that. So this is a wrong treatment. What is the correct treatment? Correct treatment is you will write that service of transportation of goods without issue of consignment note. This point you should mention in your answer. You can see that how the reasoning has to be given, how elaborate or how specific the reasoning has to be there. In fact, I would not say elaborate also, I would
To
say
the point.
specific. You
Yeah.
don't have to write anything
Vague.
for the reasoning. When we say reasoning has to be given, it means you have to explain the other person why you are doing it. Just simply mentioning the section number, simply mentioning includable, excludable, that does not suffice. You have to actually explain that why it is exempt or why it is not exempt in case it is not exempt. So since the transportation of goods without consignment note is not covered under the service of GTA, therefore it is exempt. Only GTA service are taxable, courier services are taxable. Otherwise, transportation of goods by road is exempt. And since we have not paid any GST on this, then no ITC is available. I think that is clear to now all the students. So we now move to the next point. So this is the correct treatment. Now next point. J Limited Gujarat availed supply of, I will not show the treatment. J Limited Gujarat availed supply of manpower security services from Mr. Y. Gujarat, a registered person, the amount paid is rupees 1 lakh in February. Tax rate is 18%. So what would be the treatment here? So we have availed, that means it's an inward supply, manpower security services. And we have availed it from Mr. Y. So Mr. Y is not a body corporate. And in fact, at the beginning of the question itself, we told you that J Limited is a registered person. Just to reiterate that information, because that is not available on the screen. When we started the question, we said, I told you that I'm taking an extract from a 14 marks compulsory question. So there J Limited is a registered person. And this is the additional information which I am providing about it, that it availed the supply of manpower security services from Mr. Y. Now, Mr. Y is a non-body corporate. It is apparent because it is an individual. So it is non-body corporate. I'm just giving you certain hints so that you can come to the right answer. I have got answer from Shiva, Raj and Renuka, and they are right in this. I think others would have also come to the correct conclusion, I hope.
Rupan has also replied taxable under RCM.
Manpower, though in this case, what we have done is we have given the right answer first, but we'll show you that some other,
Manner of.
some other errors which students commit. So this conclusion is correct that yes, it is a service taxable under reverse charge, or tax on this has to be paid under reverse charge because it is being provided by a non-body corporate to a registered person. J Limited was a registered person. J Limited was receiving the manpower security services from Mr. Y, that is a non-body corporate. So therefore, the tax is payable under reverse charge. To this extent, it is fine, and we know this. We did this treatment. Okay. Nikita has also answered it correctly. Now, what is the error which students generally commit here? Now, this was actually not the error point because what we are trying to show, you know the provision, still you do it wrong. So that you have to keep in mind that you do not have to commit that mistake. What is the mistake here? I told you that in this question, we have to take the net GST payable in cash. We have to compute. Okay. We would have
This is the most important point. Basically, generally, all the students, most of the students, majority of the students commit mistake. And, this adjustment, this treatment generally is asked in all the, in all the exam
compulsory questions. Generally, this point is there because
most of
it's a
the
very general
yes,
point, a
yes.
very common point which has to be asked, because when you are getting the inward supplies, reverse charge supplies are definitely going to be there. So what is there? You have, suppose, 5 items for GST liability under forward charge. So everything we have written here and we have added those items. Now what the students will do, they will, to this GST liability, the outward supplies on which tax is payable under forward charge, we'll write all those these activities or supplies. We'll compute tax here. And for the sake of convenience, we have taken CGST, SGST only. Then for the reverse charge supplies, they will take reverse charge supplies also after the forward charge supplies, and they will show the tax at the same time. After that, after adding these two, we add these two, and from this total, they deduct the ITC, in fact, I would say, and then they get the net GST payable in cash. So can anyone tell me that, is it a correct
Reason
treatment?
and
Though we have already mentioned it's a wrong treatment, but if you can, locate that, why is it wrong?
Yeah.
Absolutely right, Nikita. RCM we have to pay from the cash ledger. So when I am reducing my ITC from this total, so in a way I am actually paying my reverse charge supplies also from the ITC, which is not the correct treatment. I cannot pay my reverse charge supplies from ITC because ITC is utilized for paying the output tax. The definition of output tax says the tax which is paid on the outward supplies. So RCM, when we are paying any tax under reverse charge mechanism, we are paying tax on the inward supplies. So inward supplies are not
included in the
output tax definition. That is very logical also. Otherwise also, if you did not know the definition, you could have interpreted it that something which is not an output tax, which is not an outward supply, how can we use ITC for that? Because ITC we can utilize only for paying the output tax. What we are paying on the inward supplies is input tax. So we cannot use our ITC for paying that tax. That has to be paid in cash. Only the liability to deposit tax has been shifted on the recipient. Otherwise, recipient cannot pay ITC for paying those liability. Okay. So what would have been the correct treatment for this? How you should show it in your computation table, and so that you do not commit mistake in the examination. First is this thing that you have to treat it in the admissible ITC table. That is correct. That we have already shown. Now we come to the net GST payable in cash. So first of all, you will take all the GST amount which are payable under the forward charge. You will add them. From that, you will deduct ITC, and this ITC will include manpower security services. Now, this is also a very important point. Since this manpower service, I was liable to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. So it does not mean that I cannot take ITC on it in the same month. I can take ITC simultaneously on a real-time basis. System or the portal, GST portal allows it. And this is the approach you have to follow in the examination also, that the manpower security services, ITC, will also be available. But you cannot use ITC for paying manpower services. That is for sure. So then you come forward charge liability on outward supplies payable in cash after set off of ITC. You will get this amount. To this amount, you will add the tax payable on manpower security services payable in cash. And reason that tax payable under reverse charge being an inward input tax, it cannot be set off against ITC, and thus it has to be paid in cash. So I think this point is clear to you, and this is something which you have to bear in mind while solving the questions in the examination, because many students commit mistake in this question. Okay, so this is the correct treatment.
The credit of manpower security service we can use for paying GST liability under forward charge. So credit we can use anywhere, but for paying the liability under reverse charge, ITC cannot be used.
This is the thumb rule, that you cannot use ITC for paying inward supplies. Inward supplies, if you have to pay any tax under RCM, you have to use cash only. You cannot deposit tax with the ITC, utilizing ITC. Now the next point. Now this is the next point. J Limited Gujarat availed supply of manpower security services from Y Limited Gujarat. Since we have discussed the earlier service in so much detail that this question becomes a cakewalk for you. So the amount paid is rupees 1 lakh in February, and tax rate is 18%. So what would be the treatment here? We'll just give you 25 to 30 minutes. Yes, Raj, you're absolutely right. So J Limited is a registered company, and it had availed the supply of manpower services. So supplier is Y Limited. Now here the Y Limited is a body corporate. Okay. So this makes it apparent that yes, reverse charge will not be applicable. This is the wrong treatment actually. So if we generally, what happens is, why I have taken this particular example, because in case of the reverse charge supplies, there is a tendency for the students, how do we remember the reverse charge table? We just see the services, that yes, these are the services, these are taxable under reverse charge, just memorize them. And if we are doing it at the last moment, and we generally, tend to ignore the recipient and supplier, or we don't pay much attention to who is recipient, who is supplier. We feel that if this question comes in exam, there is a possibility, or generally there will be a possibility that it will be a reverse charge will be tested from me. So whenever they see manpower security, they tend to charge it under reverse charge, and that is where they get wrong. So this is the wrong treatment. And what would be the correct treatment? That this is a tax payable under forward charge. Okay, this is actually the wrong treatment, which is continuing, but the correct treatment is this. That since the security services are provided by a body corporate, therefore, though they are provided to a registered person, but they are being provided by a body corporate, therefore they are taxable under forward charge, and therefore simple treatment will be there, that they would be tax would be paid under forward charge. So no reverse charge treatment will be required here.
So you should pay attention that who is the supplier and who is the recipient of service, where
when you are remembering your reverse charge table, so you should definitely see that who is the supplier and who is the recipient.
Yes.
So keep a table. We'll try to help you in that for memorizing that also at the end of the session. We have some memorization techniques, as we told you. So we'll try to help you with that also. Now, Mr. Rishi Raji supplied computers who were purchased from an unregistered supplier without any consideration to his brother, a well-established architect in Ranchi, in February. Market value of supply was rupees 62,000. Okay, open market value is given to you and tax rate is 18%. So I think you should try to work it out. So these computers have been supplied without any consideration. That is something we have to keep in mind. Nikita is right to some extent. Partially, the one aspect of it you have answered. Raj is saying Schedule 3, supply without consideration. Yeah, it is a supply without consideration. Now, will it be considered as supply or not? So let us come to the wrong treatment first of all. So that might give you an idea that what would be the right treatment. So how the students might treat it. Deemed supply as computers supplied to a related. Now, there are two aspects to it. One is the computers have been purchased from an unregistered person. Okay. Now, they were purchased from an unregistered person and they have been supplied to the brother further without any consideration. These are the two aspects. So, since they have been purchased from an unregistered supplier, to that extent, Nikita, you're right, that it is not since it is an unregistered person, he would not have charged any GST and therefore no ITC would be available on the purchase. That is fine. What regards the output supply? Now, regarding the outward supply, it is without consideration provided to his brother. Renuka is saying not a supply. Let us see a bit others are writing. Here we have got an answer with us that it is a deemed supply because the computer supplied to a related person is covered under Schedule 1 even when it is made without consideration. So is this answer correct, or there is some error in this answer, or what can be the possible error in this question, in this particular answer, if you can think of this? So I think we should come to the conclusion that it is not right. Why is it not right? Because it is not a deemed supply. And ITC is eligible, Raj is saying open market value is nil. Okay. So open market value we have to resort to only when we find that, or only when we conclude that this is a supply. Then only we'll come to valuation, and we'll come to the valuation only when we conclude that yes, this is a supply to a related person. Once it is a supply to related person, it becomes a supply. And for valuing the supply made to a related person, we need to go to rules. But here, this person, this brother of Mr. Rishi, who is a well-established architect in Ranchi, he is not a related person. Why he is not a related person? Yes, Raj, absolutely right. You have correctly pointed out that he is not a family member, or they do not constitute a family. Let us see the correct answer and then we'll discuss this. It is not a supply. Now, why we have not considered it to be supply? Because the definition of related person says that they should be member of same family. So Mr. Rishi and his brother, two persons are there. Mr. Rishi has supplied computers to his brother. We have to see whether they are members of the same, they are considered as family members, so they are considered as members of same family, then only they will be considered as related. For this, we have to go to the definition of family. Definition of family explicitly provides you that in case you have made a person's children and a person's spouse, they will be his related person without any condition. But but other than that, his parents, his grandparents, his sister, brother, they will be considered as a family member of that particular person only when they are wholly dependent on that person. Whereas in our case, now the Rishi's brother is there whom he has supplied the goods, and he is a well-settled architect. So that means he is not wholly dependent. Financially, he is not dependent on Rishi, he is independent. So since he is not dependent on Rishi, therefore, he cannot be considered to be a family member. And since he is not a family, so he cannot be a related person. And only supplies made to a related person without consideration becomes supply in Schedule 1. So whenever you are reading any statement, any definition, you have to be very thorough. When you are going through a definition of family, you should know that this wholly dependent provision, it only applies to brother, sister, and the brother, sister, parents, and grandparents. They have to be wholly dependent. Had it been children, had it been spouse, then we would not have looked for this condition. Had it been instead of his brother, it would have been his son. Then it would have been a family member. He would have been his family member and he would have been related. And then this whole transaction would have become otherwise. That means it would have become a supply. But since it is not his son, it is his brother, and he is well-established architect, he is independent. He is not dependent on his brother, Mr. Rishi. That is why he is not a family member. And he is not a family member, so he is not related. So these things, this is how students commit mistake under exam conditions, because we are under so much pressure. We know so many things, but we forget to apply them at the right place. We might have, all of you must have gone through the definition of family, but when you apply this in this question, you tend to appreciate this point that yes, they have to be wholly dependent. The brothers, sisters, and parents, grandparents, this condition of being wholly dependent also has to be checked. So this you come to know only when you apply it in a particular question, and this is how you commit the mistake. So now I think everyone has understood. Nikita and Raj was already pointing it out correctly. Now the next question. Mr. Rishi Rachi received advance of rupees 9 lakh during February for future intrastate supply. Out of advance received for future supply, rupees 5 lakh related to supply of goods and rest related to service.
Tax rate is 18%. So please, we are waiting for the answer.
And you have to give answer for two things. First, what is the correct treatment for this entire 9 lakhs? And then how do we have to compute the aggregate turnover? But first of all, we are seeking answer for taxability in the month of February, because we have received advance of rupees 5 lakh for goods and 4 lakh for services. So Raj has answered it correctly as regards taxability is concerned. Yes, I think this is a very, common point now, and most of you would answer this point correctly.
Yeah. Most of the students have replied correctly that for 5 lakh, no tax and since supply of goods. So let's understand the presentation as well. Computation of GST liability on outward supplies if we calculate in the manner that advance receipt for intrastate supply of goods and services, and the rate is 18%.
So this is the wrong treatment, definitely,
Right.
but yes, the right
So
treatment is
advance,
true.
if we receipt with regards to goods is included while computing aggregate turnover. If we display it in this manner, obviously it is wrong, because as we know that tax on advance received for supply of goods of rupees 5 lakh will be payable at the time of issue of invoice.
Yeah.
In case of advance, in case of supply of goods, in case of advance, there will be no tax liability if the supply of goods is made. However, in case of supply of services, tax will be payable even if there is a advance receipt, right? Because it is as per the notification number 66/17.
KS, you are also right. No tax at the time of payment of advance. But when
Yes.
invoice is issued, tax will be levied. But since in this case, till this date, we don't have any information regarding invoice, so no tax will be levied. And Raj is right that
Unless it's a
the
composite supply,
exception is
yes.
a composite
Yes.
supply, composition supply, supply under composition scheme, or supply made by a composition dealer. So now the second thing is the aggregate turnover. Now, how do you have to compute the aggregate turnover? In fact, this is one of the questions which came in the exam, and most of the students solved it wrongly. While taking the advance payable, in fact, we have shown you the correct answer now. While considering the advance payable for aggregate turnover, this is also, in fact, partially wrong. So let's see. This is also partially wrong, that we have not, that is why I have put the wrong mark here only, because this portion is correct here. That you
Yes.
have to take the 5 lakh tax, we have to pay 5 lakh tax at the time of issuance of invoice. But as regards the aggregate turnover, still this treatment is wrong. Okay, that is, we have not taken the advance received on goods while computing the aggregate turnover. Generally, what we tend to do is that whatever we have considered as supply in the, or whatever value on which we have paid the tax, we take it in the aggregate turnover. That is the general tendency of the students while computing the aggregate turnover. Most of the students considered only 4 lakhs amount for computing the aggregate turnover, but that is not the correct treatment. You have to take 5 lakhs also, because supply, definition of supply says the supply provided or agreed to be provided. So something which we have agreed, any advance which we have received for providing a service, though it will not be taxed at this point of time, but it becomes a supply at that particular point of time. And aggregate turnover includes all the supplies, taxable, exempt, interstate supplies, export, everything is included in the aggregate turnover. Therefore, the advance receipt with respect to goods will also form part of the aggregate turnover of the of Mr. Rishi.
Even though the time of supply will be as per the date of issuance of
So
invoice.
this is something you have to keep in mind while solving the question. Advance received with respect to goods is included while computing the aggregate turnover, which is required while computing the ITC. Okay. And this aggregate turnover was required here in this question for computing the ITC reversal. Why do we compute the aggregate turnover, first of all? Now, because when we have to compute the net GST payable, the question might have come to your mind that why we are going to aggregate turnover. So because I told you that this was an actual exam question extract which I am taking. So here the aggregate turnover had to be computed because reversal point was there. In fact, for reversal also, we'll show you one question, because that is also a point of pain area for the students where generally they commit mistake. They tend to forget the reversal provisions at all while solving the questions. So while computing the aggregate turnover, this advance has to be considered. This is the correct treatment. Okay. Now, common errors in other questions. This was regarding question 1, that is the compulsory question we have seen. Now we come to the other questions where the students commit mistake. Again, a very important point which we are going to deal in this question. Determine whether B and D company, a partnership firm registered under GST, is eligible to opt for composition levy under section 10(1) and 10(2) of the CGST Act. 10(1) and 10(2) of the CGST Act, if you remember, they are the composition scheme which of a person who is primarily producing the manufacturing or trading goods or restaurant service, and marginally he can supply the services. So in the current year, he is eligible for the composition scheme, assuming that its aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year is less than 150 lakhs. And it is engaged in making only intra-state supply of goods from its warehouse. Okay, so we have to determine its eligibility regarding 10(1) and 10(2), and these two information. So they are independent of each other. Either point 1 is given to you or point 2 is given to you. So in each of the cases, what will be your answer? Whether B and D company is eligible for composition scheme or not. You have to remember the conditions which are given to you under section 10(2), and by way of rule also, whatever conditions are there for becoming eligible for, and the turnover also. Though turnover it is mentioned here, it is 150 lakhs, but the notifications which are issued under this So I've got one answer from Raj. Let others also answer. And we need answer for both the points, that whether it is eligible for composition scheme in case 1 and whether it is eligible in case 2, or in both the cases it is not eligible, in both the cases it is eligible. What is your answer here? So see, it is a composition supplier. Okay. One of the conditions for opting for composition supply or composition scheme is that the registered person who is opting for composition supply should not be engaged in making any supply not leviable to tax. Now, when I say a supply is not leviable to tax, that means it should be outside the purview of Section 9 itself. Okay. So, for example, the alcoholic products or alcoholic liquor for human consumption, or it can be the petroleum products. So, they are outside the purview of the GST charging section itself. So, if I am engaged in manufacturing or trading or any such activity which is not leviable to tax, then that is that is not eligible. That person is not eligible for the composition scheme. But here B&D company is a manufacturer of a taxable product P. So P product is taxable, no issue. Product Q is exempt by way of a notification. So that means product Q is leviable to tax or leviable to GST. Only thing is it has been subsequently exempt. So first it was leviable to tax and subsequently it became exempt by way of a notification. Okay. Since it was in first place, it was leviable to tax. Subsequently, it became exempt by way of a notification. Therefore, it does not get attracted by the ineligibility for composition scheme. Composition scheme is ineligible for the person who is engaged in supplying non-leviable services or goods. So therefore, in fact, I can see most of the answers for second point only. First point only KS has answered and he has answered it correctly. He has answered both the points correctly. Otherwise, second point is correct for both of all of you.
Yeah.
All of you could understood that point, that yes, what is the catch in second point? So in first point, let us first of all consider the first point, that it is leviable to GST but subsequently exempt. So the this ineligibility is not invoked here. And therefore, B&D company is eligible for composition scheme because its turnover is less than the threshold limit. It is making only intrastate outward supplies. Second point is B&D company is engaged in trading of aerated waters. So,
Nikita, your answer is wrong. You have mentioned, please read the question carefully, that B&D company is engaged in trading of aerated waters. Now, what is basically the conditions and restrictions for composition levy is that one of the condition is that a registered person opting for composition scheme for goods must not be engaged in the manufacture of notified goods, right? So
focus is on word manufacture.
Right. What happens is that as we also discussed as recently, in case of reverse charge, we remember the list of services. We remember these services. In case of these services, it is taxable under reverse charge. But we tend to forget that it is equally important that who is supplier, who is recipient to
Same thing happens here also.
Same thing happens
that
here
students
also.
tend to remember only the notified goods. Their focus shifted to notified goods. What are those notified goods? But they tend to forget that who is the person who has to actually supply or manufacture or trade these goods. So that focus on word manufacture was lost, and that is why it happened.
KS has asked a query. I think this is for interest for all the students. For very interesting and very important. I think he has asked that after the questions are over, kindly answer this query. Overall, I want to score maximum in IDT. First of all, we are very happy. I am very happy to read your query. At least you are dreaming big. You are dreaming big. You are preparing in a manner. You are you want to score good marks and you are ready to do well. You are ready to prepare. You are ready to do small sacrifice as we discussed in the during start of the session. Very good question, case. Please help on what all are important focus areas for exams. I think now we should shift our focus, shift our discussion to your query, and it is, I think, important also to
We'll deal with
majority
your
of the
query.
session.
Yeah, only 1 or 2 points are left. After that, we'll shift to your query and we'll definitely answer your query, case. Don't worry. That is what this session is overall for. That to improve your performance in the exam, and that is what you also want. You want to score high.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I was telling you, that we'll be telling you regarding the reversal provisions. This is a question which came in the examination. It is an extract of a big question. Many supplies are given to you, and we'll quickly cover it because we have to cover certain other points. We told you that we'll cover some memorization techniques. We'll quickly cover the memorization techniques, and we'll share these PPTs with you so that those memorization techniques you can refer afterwards also.
In fact, we will take one more session, one more BOS
Yeah.
session also.
In second BOS session,
We
we
will-
can
yes, we
cover
can take
remaining
those
points. So don't
memorization
worry,
techniques.
nothing will be left. We'll be covering other points also. This is a point, this is a taxable supply here. This supply is, because I'm not now going into the technical provision, what I want to stress in this particular question, I will straight away come to that. This is an exempt supply. And the professional services supply to foreign diplomatic mission. Again, it is I think it was foreign diplomatic mission. So this is, I think, exempt. Then recovery provisions, recovery agent services provided to ABC Limited, NBFC. Now again, reverse charge supplies will be there. Here also a registered person provided, and this is Mr. ANG, that is a non-body corporate. So reverse charge mechanism will be there. Now, in this question, what we have to see is that there are certain taxable supplies and there are certain exempt supplies. Okay. So these are taxable supplies. This is not an exempt supply, but it is an RCM supply. So because of RCM, the person is not liable to pay tax on this particular service. So it is a mixture of exempt as well as RCM supplies. Now, what we have to keep in mind if such a question comes in net GST computation question, such points come, then immediately you have to keep in mind that yes, the reversal provisions will be attracted since there are some common inputs or input services for supplying these services. If that information has been clearly provided, suppose inputs have been clearly mentioned that this particular service is used for this input and this outward supply, which is exempt. For exempt services or exempt goods, services or inputs have been specifically mentioned, then reversal provisions will not apply. But generally, this doesn't happen. There are common inputs or input services which are being provided, and that you need to keep in mind. Taxable services to foreign diplomatic mission, that is correct. So this is a combination of exempt as well as taxable services, and the RCM services are also considered as exempt for the purpose of reversal. That is what I want to stress upon. So this is in this case, reversal provisions have to be taken into consideration, and please keep in mind that whenever you see in the exam any outward supply which is exempt, first thing which should come to your mind is that yes, I have to see the reversal provisions also, whether they are attracted or not. Or you see any outward supply which is taxable under reverse charge, so you are not paying tax on it, your recipient, your buyer is paying tax on that, then also you should immediately recall that yes, reversal provisions can be invoked or reversal provisions can be attracted in this case. So we need to check that. Now we come to the question which KS has asked. In fact, we'll see the memorization techniques. Definitely, we'll see that also.
We can explain those memorizing techniques in the next session also.
Yeah, Nikita has asked for question number 2B. My answer was right, but I had not rounded off. I got only 2 marks. Question B, I will see, Nikita, which question you are referring. Before that, Swati will explain that how you can overall score in IDT, general guidance, Swati, if you can provide. And by the time, let me see, what was the question? Okay, just a minute. Question B, rounding off you are referring to.
Yeah,
So,
Dikshita has also asked, hello ma'am, can you please share distribution of marks between MCQs and descriptive questions section wise? Yes. Okay, now let's discuss the overall, like how to score good marks and the overall framework, how you need to proceed with the revision and the your examination.
Before that, if we can tell that distribution of marks to MCQs.
Yes, MCQ 30 marks, basically 30% of your paper will be multiple choice based questions and 70% will be the descriptive type question. So since this paper 5 indirect tax laws is of 100 marks, so 30% and 30 marks will be for MCQs and yes, and 70 marks will be for descriptive questions. Right now, as we know that this paper is further divided into 2 parts, part 1 goods and services tax and part 2 customs and foreign trade policy. So for part 1 GST is of 80 marks and 70% of 80 marks. So 26 marks will be asked from GST in case of multiple choice questions, and this part 2 customs and foreign trade policy It is for 4
So
marks.
this is something different which we have kept for MCQs, but for
Right.
MCQs that 80-20 weightage will not apply. For that we have specifically kept 26 marks for MCQs. These MCQs for GST will only all be case scenarios based. In fact, all 30 marks MCQs will be case scenarios
And
based
2 marks
MCQ.
each.
2 marks each. Every question will carry 2 marks. That will be an application based question where answer will arise from the case scenario. So you have to see the facts of the case scenario and then you can answer it. For customs, there will be small case scenarios. 2 small case scenarios will be asked, and on the basis of that, the question will be asked. So I hope that answers the uh, Dikshita's query.
And out of the descriptive questions, now let's understand how to attempt the multiple choice questions. Descriptive questions has been on 30%, multiple choice questions, so 70 marks, and question 1 is compulsory out of part 1 goods and services tax. And you have to attempt any 4 questions out of the remaining 5 questions. Now, as far as MCQ Division A is concerned, all MCQs are compulsory. No choice is available. But yes, one positive feature of this Division A MCQ based division is that no negative marking is there for wrong answers. No reasoning is required from you. So MCQ, as ma'am told you, will be application based of 2 marks each. So first of all, devote your time to the portion where you can score more by spending less time. That is division A. Here you don't need to write any reason, right? So you will end up in saving time. And further, I will advise you to please attempt the full paper, even though you might have some confusion or a doubt yourself that I am not more sure of this, the provisions, whether my answer would be right or not. The positive feature is that, there is no negative marking for wrong answers. So even if you're not sure, please attempt the paper, full paper, because in any case, there is no harm, there is no negative marking, and no reasoning is required. So you will save time and you will, score. There's an option, there's a scope that you can score more by spending less. So first of all, complete your division A, then move to the division B. And generally it happens that, the big question, the compulsory question carry the weightage of 14 marks. It is a big question, or students sometimes tend to fear by if they look at this compulsory question, or they feel that there are few adjustments which they are not aware of, or which due to which their net answer will also get wrong. So if this is the case with you, first of all, when during the reading time, just have a quick glance at all the questions and identify the question, which you are going to attempt in case of the optional questions. So when you start with the paper solving, paper writing, you don't spend time in deciding which optional questions I have to attempt. Decide beforehand while during your reading time only. So now when come to the descriptive portion, I will advise you that I will advise you to just start with the question which you know best, because it will give the positive impression to the examiner as well. He will feel that yes, you know the paper, and it will also, save time. If you, first of all, you devote time to the question which you know the best, you will solve that question, you will complete that question in a, swiftly, yeah, very swiftly you will be able to complete your questions, and that will also boost your confidence. So if you have an idea just by giving a cursory glance to the compulsory question, that in this question is very big, or few adjustments I'm not aware of, due to which my net answer, net computation, GST liability, or net ITC, or total output tax liability will get wrong. So we'll advise you to complete that question, to perform that question in the end, so that you have the ample time in solving the other questions, and your confidence also remains intact. And another thing is that for scoring good marks, I will first of all, please bear in mind that be it MCQ or be it a descriptive question, you have to attempt the full paper, because 6 average answers will fetch you more marks than the 3 best answers.
Very well said, actually.
Yes, because actually, if a question carry the weightage of 5 marks, and let's say you know it in the best manner, best of the best manner, you know the section, you know the subsection, and all this. So doesn't matter, the length of the answer doesn't matter. We will discuss it whether you give the answer in one paragraph or the one page. At the most, you will get the 5 marks only, the number which the question carries. So if you attend the total 6 answers, then in average you may lose 1 or 2 marks, but you will, and in total you will get the more
More
marks.
marks,
Right.
definitely. Otherwise, you can't get more than the maximum marks. Now, suppose a question carries 16 marks or 14 marks and you have attempted it properly, whatever best you could have done. So you will get 14 marks only. You can't get more than that. But for every question, if you have attempted 6 questions, then you have a higher chance of scoring average in all the questions.
Right.
That will amount to more than 14 into 3. So that is important that you attempt each and every question with the same rigor and same devotion. Only thing is the question you know the best, as she explained, that you should start the paper with that so that it creates a positive momentum for you as well as a positive impression on your examiner that you know the things and you are a good examinee actually.
Yeah, another thing for time management in during examination is that you need to answer the question in commensuration with the marks which that particular question carries. Let's say if a question carry the weightage or they carry the 3 marks question, so you just need to mention the key 3 points in it only. Right, because stepwise marks is there. That doesn't mean that if the question is of 3 marks, you need to end up the complete paragraph. First of all, please bear in mind that length of the answer doesn't matter. You have to be very precise. You have to write to the point backed by the correct legal provision. Right. In case of like if a question contains a number of conditions or number of like some independent points are there which are contained in the legal provision of the question, then you can write any 2, any 3, or any 4 or 5 of the 4 or 5 of them depending upon the marks which that question particular question carries. If a question is of 5 marks, then you can write any of the 5 points and you can write in any sequence. But sometimes the question is such that the 2 provisions are integrated, then you have to write to the point only. Don't write the unnecessary vague lengthy answers that will not serve the purpose. And yes, when coming, obviously at this point of time, we assume that you have over with your preparation strategy. While revision also, please pay attention in accordance with the in prescribed section in skill-wise weightage. Please devote more time to the substantial provisions followed by the procedural and the enforcement provisions. And yes, working notes are very important. As we have displayed to you in many of the questions, we have taken the extract of most of the exam questions which are asked in the exams only, so that you have a fair idea that how this generally the students, even in spite of having the good preparation, they end up in losing marks. You need to give the brief working note. And yes, since it is a taxation paper, one another point is that there is a scope of multiple assumptions. Being a taxation paper, yes, there is an interpretational problem. There's a scope of multiple interpretation. In that case, let's have a brief example that generally it happens that in question it is not specifically provided to you that whether the amounts given in the question are inclusive of GST or exclusive of GST. So you can assume either of the 2 ways. You can assume the amount to be exclusive because yes, it you end up in doing the calculation in a faster manner. But yes, you have to give you will be awarded marks only if you state your assumption clearly in the answer. You need to set in the right when you start your working note, please be specific, right assumption. I have so the answers which is solved in the questions has been correct. It has been assumed that the amounts given in the question are exclusive of GST. So this is just an example. There can be the scope of multiple interpretations in any other questions also. Like in case of capital goods, if it is given, then it is not clearly given whether depreciation has been claimed or not. See, you can claim the either depreciation or the ITC on the GST component. So if anything has been not specifically given in the question, you just write your assumption whatever comes to you, and you can solve it in any of the ways, in any of the legal ways, but just give your assumptions very clearly.
Yeah, it is a very important point which she has pointed out, that there can be 2 things in the question. One is that there is ambiguity in the question and you're not able to move forward and you get stuck at a point and you feel get how to solve the question now. Like the receipts are not given inclusive or exclusive and you feel both the answers are on equal footing. So how to answer that? Whether we should take inclusive or exclusive. Similarly in capital goods. Similarly, there can be other examples also. Where it has not been mentioned that some capital expenditure is there and whether it has been charged to P&L or it has been capitalized, it can be taken in both the manner. So that information is not there and you can't proceed further without that. So what is advised is that you should take an assumption. You should clearly state that assumption in the answer and start solving the answer without wasting any time. Another thing is there is some issue where you feel 2 interpretations are possible And because law is not clear on a particular point, though we generally avoid such type of questions, but if such a question is there and you have to answer it, then you know both the views and you should clearly write that there are two views possible in this particular case and I am writing one of the views. Then you will be awarded marks for that if your view is yes, the one of the views which is taken. So the type of interpretations which are possible in a particular question and you have taken one of them, you will be awarded marks. You should answer only based on one of the interpretations. In fact, Nikita, your question of online money gaming, which you told that, sorry to interrupt in between because I thought she has asked query long back and she might be thinking that we have not answered. So, Nikita, you can write to us at idt-final@icai.in because rounding off was not such a big issue where marks will be deducted. It is one of the part of the answers, but you can write to us that what was the exact issue, why maybe some other thing you have not marked correctly. So we'll see that. And
Dikshita is asking something about the distribution. Can you please explain your query? What type of distribution you want to know? Because I think we have explained you that GST 80 marks, customs and FTP 20 marks, and then.
Okay, so you are referring to, I think this is what you got in, you got in FR paper, na? This is for the descriptive MCQ. Actually, Dikshita, this type of bifurcation we do not have in our paper. What we have is the section-wise weightage, which we have provided to you. And overall, we have a section skill-wise weightage, that what type of skill can be tested. But every specific question, we have no, fix bifurcation that yes, this particular MCQ or this question will be from this particular section and this much marks, because there is a flexibility in IDT paper.
That there are two integrated case, generally either one or two integrated case, in final there are two integrated case scenario will be asked from you in the examination. So that integrated case scenario will not primarily would be from section 1 or section 2. It will be, it could be either from section 1 or one can be based from section 2, or it could be a mix from section 1 or section 2. So there is no specific as such bifurcation. Basically, and moreover, the entire GST and customs law has been divided into very broad divisions. Basically, there are 4 sections only. Section 1 is a substantive law, then the procedural and enforcement and the basic provisions. So I think that if you have the broad idea of the coverage of the section, like section 1, substantive provisions covers the highest weightage, followed by the procedural aspect, it will serve the purpose.
Yeah, I think now she has got the answer. She's saying that she finally got the answer. So Nitika can write and now that those memorization techniques which we referred, though we have actually exceeded the time limit, but just to give a glance to you, and we'll be sharing these PPTs so you can go through them afterwards. We just want to share the memory techniques. If one of the effective memory techniques was what we said, that you can understand the provision, write it as if you're explaining it to someone, and then you get to understand that concept as well as you will be able to retain it for a longer time. So that is why group studies are always advised, because please keep yourself on mute. Somebody has switched on the audio. Okay. So that is why group studies are advised, so that when you explain it to someone, you tend to remember it for a longer time. Apart from that, there are acronyms and acrostics. We'll give you some examples of acronyms. And acronyms you can make throughout your studies. Whenever you're studying something, keep your acronyms, mention your acronyms or mark your acronyms on your study material itself, so that whenever you revise it afterwards, you can refer to that, and that will help you in recalling during the examination. Another way is try understanding the logic or intent of the provision. That is a very important point. If you know that, yes, this particular threshold limit was provided because the, suppose registration, a lower limit has been provided for the special category states. The reason is because special category states are, why they have been considered as special, because they are economically or they are geographically, they have some disadvantages. They are either backward areas, or they are not geographic, they are at geographical disadvantage. So they need some special consideration for them. So a lower limit of the registration composition has been kept for them, so that even if a person is a small trader or a small supplier, he has to pay tax, and those states get their share of revenue from GST. So that is why, so if we understand this for every provision, We generally try to cover it in our statutory update, in our study material. We have tried to cover wherever possible the reason or intent behind a particular provision, so that you can appreciate that provision, and this will help you in retaining that provision for a longer period. Another is visual imagery, which we have used in study material. You can have your own visual imageries also. This is the world of internet. You can have your own. You can use, you can put your pictures and your whatever summaries you are making for yourself in Word or some other, mode. Another is repetition. Now, sometimes it so happened we understood the logic. We have tried to make acronyms. It's of no use. We are not able to make any acronym acrostics. So you can then you have to repeat those things. Suppose you are some rates are given to you and you want to retain them, and there is no way to recall them because no acronyms can be made. You are not able to understand any logic also. A specific logic cannot be allocated to that. So then you can keep that, you can make a table on a piece of paper and you put it on your study table and keep on seeing that every day you can see it once, or when you are having food or you're having some break, you're taking some break, just have a look at that paper and then go for the break. So that makes it repetitive and you get to remember it. Similarly, the flashcards or sticky notes. Now you can have flashcards also. Sticky notes, some rates are there, small sticky notes. So that helps you in remembering that. Sticky notes on your table. Whenever you start studying, just go through all the sticky notes and then you tend to remember it. Then so this is the what I told you, that the mnemonics are the powerful memory techniques. Some of the acronyms we are covering, so we try to cover it very quickly in just 5 minutes time, so that you can get an idea, because this is the time when you have to memorize. The next session when we'll be trying to focus more on the revision. So this is the memory, this is the preparation time thing which you should know, that how you can memorize the things. Suppose you have a definition of supply. In definition of supply, it says supply includes all forms of supply of goods and services. So what is important here is goods, services, and these are the illustrative forms of supply: disposal, sale, license, rental, barter, exchange, lease, transfer, for consideration in course or furtherance of business. So consideration test, business test, every supply has to pass. Supply should be of goods or services. Supply can be one of these illustrative lists. These are the three components of supply which are very important. So one is this, one is this, and third one is this. For this, we have made an acronym of DSLR belt. These are the 8 illustrative list of supply. GS is goods or services for C and B. So this forms of supply of goods or services for consideration and business. This is a way of making an acronym, and this way you can make acronym for anything. Acronym should be of the area which interests you. If you are a cricket lover, you can make acronyms with some cricket, cricket terminologies or cricketers. Or if you are a film person, then you can use that type of acronym. So this is an example which we have given to you. You can make n number of acronyms for yourself depending on your interest. For every list or every terms which every list of terms which you feel that you will not be able to recall during examination. Suppose you want to know that yes, these 8 illustrative list of supplies I should be able to recall in the examination. So it's very difficult to recall it by just memorizing it. If you have an acronym with you, you can yourself recall during these with you. And import of services.
Principle section 5, except by omnibus of test 4, because the services by omnibus has been excluded by a recent amendment. So services by way of housekeeping, except when the person supplying service, except in for house.
That will be your revision stage.
Right.
So that you might not be able to, appreciate that at that. The recipient should be a business. Recipient should be a business entity. Sorry, only for government services. In case of renting of immovable property, and FC. So banking, direct selling agent service. See is here that then recovery agent comes into picture. Business facilitator, business correspondent, they also bring business to the company, to the bank, but they are operating in the rural area. And business facilitator actually does not operate on behalf of the bank. This is what is the difference between these all terms. Business correspondent can actually transact on behalf of the bank. So if they are bringing some business to the bank, they can actually open the accounts, they can actually transact on behalf of the bank. Business facilitator can only bring the person to the bank in rural areas, that yes, this is how we are operating. Generally, they operate in the rural areas, whereas direct selling agent, it only brings business to the bank, but it can operate in any of the areas. No bar of that rural or urban area is there. Then we come to the recipient, and where the recipient is a body corporate. Then those services are renting of motor vehicle as well as director services. In case of GTA, the recipient should be BSF CRPC. Now here also we have used the acronym for telling that it should be a society or factory or cooperative society. Yeah, body corporate. So all, yeah. So complete list is there, and we are not able to remember that list, and so we can use this acronym. Sponsorship service or sponsorship service, if it is provided to a body corporate or a partnership firm, then it becomes liable to tax under reverse charge. Insurance services have to be provided to an insurance business by an insurance agent, then they are liable under the reverse charge. So this is the how you can remember the reverse charge mechanism list, because you need to pay special focus on the recipient as well as service provider. Okay. Now, I think we have covered mostly everything which we intended to cover in this session, so that your preparation can be augmented. And with this, we come to an end of this session. I hope in case any of you have any query pertaining to what we covered today, you can ask it. We'll not be able to go to the last slide, so we'll be ending this session here only. Yeah, so any of you have any query, you can ask, or you can write to us at iddt-final@icai.in. We have Ask Your Query portal also at BOS app. In fact, during the session, we didn't discuss about the BOS app, but you can go through the BOS app. Most of you will be attending the session also through that. But those of you who are watching it on YouTube afterwards, they can download our BOS app and they will be able to get all the notifications, announcements quite handy for the examination. So please go through that.
And thanks, Rupan, Dekshita, Raj. Basically, all of you have participated very actively, and we also
we should
felt
appreciate
happy,
that. Definitely.
while solving the answers on your own. And I hope that your confidence level would have also, gone up, uplifted after attending this session. It's good.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the patient listening. Thank you.